Everything seemed fine at the family reunion until my 12-year-old slipped me a note under the table. Do not eat the food. Say you're not feeling well. I looked into her eyes. She wasn't joking. I stood up, said we had to go. 3 days later, my parents begged me to forgive them. I was about to take the first spoonful when my daughter slipped a note under the table. Don't eat it. Say you feel sick. I looked at her, thinking it was some kind of strange joke. Layla wasn't the type to joke around, but children sometimes say strange things. Maybe she had seen something on the internet. But her eyes didn't move. She just stared at me as if it were a matter of life and death. I don't know what instinct told me to do, but I pushed my plate away and said I had a stomachache. I apologized for the timing and said we would have to leave early. My parents were surprised but didn't argue. My mom offered to pack up the leftovers. I declined. My dad tried to joke about my sensitive system, but I grabbed my bag and told Layla we were leaving. We didn't say a word in the car. She didn't look at me, and I didn't insist. Something about the way she handed me the note made me realize that she needed time to explain everything on her own terms. That night, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I replayed the events of the day in my head. The food looked normal. It smelled normal. My parents acted like they always did, maybe even a little too much. My mom insisted that I try the casserole. She kept asking if it tasted the same as when I was a child. My dad poured me wine, even though he knows I don't drink. I thought maybe I was just overreacting. Maybe Layla saw something disgusting in the kitchen and got scared. Maybe I'm overreacting. Until the messages started coming in. The first one was from my mom. We need to talk. Please. Then from my dad. We're so sorry. Just call us. We didn't want things to get this far. Then another one from my mom. Please forgive us. We didn't mean to scare her. That's when I knew something was wrong. Something serious. Something they wouldn't tell me unless I made them. But I didn't have to. The next morning, Layla sat down at the table and told me everything. She waited until we had finished breakfast. I didn't pressure her. I just sat across from her and waited for her to decide when she was ready to talk. She said it quietly. Before lunch, she went to the bathroom and then walked down the hall to the guest room. That's when she heard them. My parents. The door was half open, and they were whispering. Not arguing. Whispering. She only caught bits and pieces, but one thing stuck in her mind, clear as day. My dad said, just let her sleep through the night. Then my mom said, she has to stop questioning everything. It's the only way. Layla froze. She didn't know if they were talking about me, about her, or about something else entirely. But she knew something was wrong. She backed away before they saw her and returned to the table, trying to act normal. Then she wrote a note. I sat silently when she finished. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Because the worst part wasn't what they said. The worst part was that deep down, it made some twisted sense. I stopped sending them money 3 weeks ago. After paying their rent for the past 5 years, paying off their credit cards, and even financing their last emergency vacation to Florida, I told them it had to stop. I have bills to pay. College savings. My business barely broke even last quarter. I told them I'd help out with groceries from time to time, but the monthly transfers had to stop. Mom didn't argue. She just said, we understand. Dad didn't say anything at all. Until now. Now I was staring at my phone, reading their messages, trying to figure out what the hell they were up to. Dope me up. Make me sick. Prove I'm unstable? Layla was adamant. She said we couldn't see them anymore. She said she'd never feel safe in that house again. And the thing is, I believed her. I believed every word. By that evening, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to ask them what they meant. I wasn't going to give them a chance to twist things around or lie. But I needed to know more, something concrete. So I went back. I told Layla I was going to the store. I didn't want her to worry, and to be honest, if I had told her where I was really going, she would have begged me not to do it. I drove straight to my parents' house and parked a block away. They weren't home. I had expected that. Wednesdays afternoons were always the same. Dad at the golf course, Mom at book club. They were predictable, which worked to my advantage. I still had a key. I didn't go into the kitchen or the dining room. I went to the back of the house, to the storage room that used to be my brother's bedroom before he moved out. Over the years, they had filled it with plastic containers and old boxes. My mom used to joke that it was a graveyard of good intentions. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. A small white box, tucked behind an old dresser. It was labeled, Supplements, Personal, in my mother's handwriting. Inside were several blister packs and unlabeled bottles. I recognized some of them. melatonin, valerian root. But there were others I didn't recognize. The pills were in clear capsules with no labels, nothing to identify them. No instructions, no pharmacy logo. I took pictures of everything. I didn't take the pills. I left everything as I found it. And when I was leaving, I noticed something else. A notepad on the kitchen table. It was folded like a shopping list. But on the back, in my dad's handwriting, was a list of dates and times. One of them matched the day we came for lunch. Next to it was written, early, L follows. I didn't know exactly what that meant. But I knew it wasn't innocent. Not anymore. I drove straight home and told Layla everything. Her only response was, "Do you believe me now?" I said I did. Completely. Then we blocked their numbers. The next morning, they were standing at my door. I didn't open it. I just stood behind the curtain, and Layla watched me from the kitchen. Mom called twice, then knocked. Dad didn't even try to look calm. His face was pale, his eyes darting around. It was as if he was expecting the police to open the door instead of me. Eventually, they gave up and left. A few minutes later, another message arrived. "We just want to talk. Please. Anna. We're sorry for everything." I didn't reply. Instead, I sat down and made a list of everything they had said or done over the past few months that had seemed strange to me at the time, but I hadn't paid much attention to. For example, how my mom started sending me recipes for better sleep. How my dad kept offering to pick up a few things for me at the pharmacy, even when I didn't ask. There was one moment I couldn't stop thinking about. 3 weeks ago, Layla and I spent the night at their house because the power went out during a storm. That morning, I woke up late, disoriented, confused, as if I had taken a sleeping pill and didn't remember. I blamed it on stress from work and the storm. But Layla said I didn't even wake up when she called me or shook me. She was scared and sat in the room with me until I finally opened my eyes. That's when she first suspected something. But she didn't want to say anything until she was sure. I finally understood what she meant by, knock her out for the night. They had done something before. And this dinner was just the next step. I called my friend who worked in a toxicology lab. I told him I had found some unmarked capsules at my parents' house and asked if I could bring some in for analysis. He agreed without asking any questions. That night, I went back. This time they were home, but asleep. I didn't care. I parked in the same spot, unlocked the door, and slipped into the house like I had done hundreds of times as a child. The box was gone. They had moved it, cleaned it out. Probably the same day I was there. But they missed one thing. Under the dresser where the box had been, a single capsule had fallen out. I found it by accident, barely visible in the shadows. I put it in a bag and left. The results came back the following week. It wasn't prescription medication. It wasn't a supplement either. It was a tranquilizer. Strong. It cannot be sold without a license. It is used in veterinary medicine or in high-level sleep research. Something that a normal person should not have access to. Then it ceased to be emotional and became criminal. And then I realized something terrible. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't disappointment or despair. It was planned, structured, rehearsed. They were trying to incapacitate me. Repeatedly, quietly, without saying a word. After the test results came back, I sat in my car for almost an hour. I didn't go home. I just parked near a random coffee shop, left the engine running, and put my phone on my lap. I guess I was waiting for some other version of reality to appear and explain everything. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe my parents had been set up, or they had taken drugs themselves, or they weren't involved at all. But that version never appeared. All I had was this. My daughter had saved me from being drugged again, possibly even worse this time, and the people responsible were the same people who had once rocked me to sleep and taught me to ride a bike. I didn't call the police. Not yet. I kept turning the question over and over in my head. Should I file a complaint? Did I want my daughter's grandparents to go to prison? But then I thought about what would have happened if Layla hadn't written that letter. If I had eaten everything they wanted. If I had passed out. If something had happened to her while I was unconscious. Then I knew. There would be no forgiveness. I started with the finances. I cancelled the automatic transfers to their bank account. I called the credit company and removed myself from their emergency credit line. I stopped giving them money for groceries and cancelled the car insurance I had been paying for the last 7 years. My mother called again that same day. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail. She sounded calm. Too calm. She said they were worried about me, that I had seemed out of it lately, and that they had discussed getting help. She said Layla might be putting ideas in my head that weren't true. She said that families go through difficult periods, but that it was nothing that couldn't be resolved with a normal conversation. That was the last straw. They didn't apologize anymore. They tried to twist everything around, to make me believe that it was all a misunderstanding caused by the imagination of a 12-year-old girl. I listened to the voicemail with Layla. She didn't say anything at first. Then she asked, "Are we still safe?" It wasn't a question a child should have to ask. So I filed a restraining order. I asked the school to flag my parents' names in their system, just in case. I changed the locks in my house. I even transferred some of my savings to a separate account under a different name. It all seemed crazy, like I was preparing for war. But it didn't seem excessive. It seemed necessary. And then, just when I thought everything was finally going to be okay, a letter arrived. Handwritten. From my father. 4 pages. Half apologies, half excuses. He wrote that they were just trying to push me to slow down. That they never meant to hurt me. That I had misunderstood everything. But in the middle was one line I will never forget. We were just trying to regain control of the situation. That's all. No more questions. No more doubts. They weren't afraid for me. They were afraid of me. Afraid that I would stop helping them. Afraid that I would turn my back on them. Afraid that they would lose the lifestyle I had quietly financed for a decade. And they were right. They lost it. Forever. I didn't cry. Not when I read the letter. Not when I called the bank to close the last joint account they would ever have access to. Not when I told Layla we would never see them again. Not now, not ever. She just nodded. No questions. She understood better than I did what they were capable of. She saw it first. I wasn't angry. It was the silence that followed that hit me. No more messages. No more calls. It was as if they knew they had gone too far. As if they finally understood that I wasn't bluffing. Or maybe they were just waiting, hoping that time would smooth over what they had done. But that didn't happen. A week passed. Then 2. I started getting calls from relatives. Cousins. My aunt in Arizona. They all said the same thing. Your mother is heartbroken. Your father hasn't left the house in days. They are in despair. I didn't explain anything. I didn't send a statement. I just said I wasn't ready to talk about it. Maybe never. Then the guilt started. Not mine, theirs. They left another letter. No envelope, just folded and tucked under the rug. I found it in the morning after Layla's school awards ceremony, to which they had obviously not been invited. This time the letter was shorter. Desperate. Anna, we made mistakes. We didn't want to scare Layla. We were just trying to help you get your life back. Please don't push us away. We've lost everything. We're so sorry. But it was too late. I couldn't trust them anymore. They had crossed a line I didn't even know existed, and when you see what people are capable of, there's no going back. I tore the letter in half and threw it in the trash. I had learned a lot in the past few months. About boundaries. About trust. About the terrible reality that sometimes the people you owe your life to are the same people you have to protect yourself from. Now we live differently. Quietly. Peacefully. Every morning I walk Layla to school, even though she's too old for that. She pretends it annoys her, but she never asks me to stop. And every time I make her lunch or hear her laughing at something silly on TV, I remember that moment under the table. How she slipped me a note without saying a word. She saved me. And now I'm finally doing what I should have done years ago. I'm saving her.